So it seems that some of the prayers for the Dark Gods have indeed been answered. It looks like Traitor Guardsmen are going to be getting a full kit in plastic. Hello and welcome back to Warspets Tactics, where today we're talking about the Chaos Guardsman kit that's soon to be coming out in the Kill Team Morlock expansion. Games Workshop have only just unveiled it in their Specialist Games preview thing, as part of their Warhammer Fest announcements. Of course, we did have some models for this come out of Blackstone Fortress. There were some Traitor Guardsmen in a very similar style for the Servants of the Abyss, but they were kind of a bit frustrating to field, to be honest. They weren't particularly easy to get your hands on. They came as part of the full kit alongside a bunch of other Chaos bad guys, and even their rules felt a little bit token, only being able to field small squads of I think it was 8 models. So it's really quite nice to see something realised on a far more thought out level, and a kit with some actual cool options. If we take a look through the models, it seems that there's 12 in total, a new squad of 10 Renegade Guard, and in this kill team it looks like they're going to be packaged with the existent Chaos Ogrin and Commissar. They were briefly on sale for a Blackstone Fortress expansion. I believe that they were out of production for a fair while, so it's quite nice that they're coming back. I think it's really quite fun to have these models realised properly in a full flexible plastic kit though. Out of the fan request factions for Games Workshop, Traitor Guard do rank pretty highly, and these kill teams are a nice way of Games Workshop realising one important part of the lore on the table without necessarily having to commit to yet another new codex and an entire range full of plastic stuff. I guess it wouldn't be the worst though if you did want to field a normal Astra Militarum army and use these models for most of the foot troops. If we go through the models, on the left here we have a sniper, then a chap with a slightly different pattern lasgun with a chaos icon hung from it, a little bit of chainmail and a gas mask. I believe that might be the squad sergeant, armed with a trophy rack, las pistol and chainsword. He seems to have killed himself a Cadian guardsman at some point, and he's managed to stick the spike through the helmet. And maybe a slightly more generic looking one, armed with a lasgun and what looks like a Bowie knife. It seems that we're able to build them both with lasguns and with combat gear, as the next one's armed with a pair of knives, one armed with what looks like a World War I sort of combat weapon for fighting in the trenches. Again, he's looking pretty menacing behind that chainmail, and then some old guy with a beard armed with a plasma gun. I'm not sure if he's been a plasma gunner all his life. I wouldn't expect to be a Chaos plasma gunner, being particularly in line with living a long and prosperous life myself. Then rounding up the new models, we've got some guy throwing a frag grenade with the lasgun slung over his back, and then perhaps I think one of the coolest models in the entire kit, a guy armed with a riot shield with a chaos icon on it, and also armed with what looks like a close range shotgun. Finally, we've got the already existent models for the Chaos Commissar, the one who basically seems to have had an icon of chaos branded directly onto his face. That would take some dedication, I guess, and he's armed with a power fist. And then the awesome hulking Chaos Ogrin. He seems to be bearing an 8-pointed star into battle, an awesome and bloodthirsty looking power cleaver, and something all very demonic appears to have happened to his left hand, as that now appears to be a massive great big claw jaw thing with a bunch of teeth. Probably not a guy that you really want to be bumping into in a dark alley. The model release itself looks like it's coming in Kill Team Morlock. Games Workshop appears to be keeping these Kill Team boxes coming quarterly at the moment, so we've had a fair few previous ones like the Pathfinders versus the Sisters of Battle, the Eldar Corsairs versus the Chaos Marine Legionaries, and the Death Corps of Krieg versus the Orc Commandos. That really does imply that this Traitor Guard team will be coming with really quite a lot of options. It won't just be the individual models that you've seen here, or being a bit too monoposed like the Blackstone Fortress ones. They're going to be facing off against some Phobos Marine infiltrators, which Games Workshop does appear to have a few new parts for that we might cover later today in a different vid, but really I think by far the biggest news are the Traitor Guardsmen. If you do want to pick them up through this kit though, I think it's likely to be pretty bad news. The previous Kill Team kit, Kill Team Nachmund, is currently selling for £115, $195 US, or 150 euros, making it just not really a viable purchase if the only thing that you want is the Traitor Guardsman and you're not really bothered about any of the rest. It will of course come with a fair few other things, including the Space Marine thing, a fair amount of terrain if you can make use of that, and most likely the Kill Team rulebook as well. So if you did want to pick up some Phobos Marines, and if you did want some extra terrain, I guess it might not be the worst deal in the world. Otherwise your best bet is likely going to be splitting the kit, or finding someone who's reselling just the Guardsmen on eBay if you want these models individually. Otherwise the Kill Team releases often tend to crop up something like 3 to 6 months after the Kill Team box sets have come out. Hopefully sooner rather than later, as it's kind of annoying to have a unit that's available but you can't actually get if you want it. I have a very strong suspicion that these will be put on sale at the same price as the Death Korps of Krieg, as they do feel like really quite equivalent models. The current Death Korps of Krieg prices, after Games Workshop's price rise, is £35, €45, or $60 US. Definitely somewhat expensive for a slightly hoardy infantry choice, but I guess at least these guys are quite nice and detailed, and you might have enough parts to convert some other cheaper models to the will of chaos. I guess it could be pretty fun to mix and kit bash these with things like the Cadian Shock Troops or maybe the Death Korps of Krieg. Could give your own given Traitor Guard regiment a bit of a different feel, I suppose. Otherwise, I think the biggest question for the models are what sort of options will they get, and what sort of rules representation might they find in Codex Chaos Space Marines, if any. My guess is that while they call the Blooded Kill Team for Kill Team, I suspect they might just be referred to as a Renegade Guardsman squad in Codex Chaos Marines if they do get a datasheet. Personally, I feel like it would probably be a good idea to give them a distinct one from cultists. It would be a shame not to have any sort of rules representation for things like the plasma gun, sniper rifle, or any of the other interesting options in the box. I guess they maybe could get away with just calling them alternate cultist models, but hopefully given the precedent of the Eldar Corsairs that they released for the craft worlds, then hopefully they will get a fully realised datasheet, and some of the specialists will be represented with rules. I guess they could even alter the cultist datasheet just to give them some options from this kit. It looks like the vast majority of the unit is either armed with las guns or melee weapons, which would kind of fit in with the auto guns or melee weapons that the current cultists have going on. So I suppose if they were feeling a bit lazy, they could just add in the plasma gun and sniper rifle and call it a day. I'd hope that they'd include rules for the Commissar and the Ogrin as well. If they will continue to be packaged together after they're released individually, I don't see why they wouldn't. My guess for those is that they might just be as specialist attachments for the unit that you have to pay in. Maybe if you have a squad of 10 Renegade Guardsmen, then you can have 0 to 1 Ogrins and 0 to 1 Commissars as an attachment, which might give the squad a bit more muscle in melee. If so, I think it would be quite nice if they actually made them strong and viable choices. That Ogrin model really is quite cool. It'd be nice to see it on the table leading a bunch of renegades. Finally, model option wise, I think the only thing that they officially confirmed is that there will be enough to equip all of them with las guns in a very basic configuration if you want to. Though, as when we cycled through the models, you can arm them with plasma guns and sniper rifles. It's not impossible that there might be a few other options on top of that, maybe some other exciting kit for the sergeant maybe. Should give you a decent amount of spare bits and parts though if you do get this, things to use in future conversions or projects to come. Overall though, that's a much requested kit that they've finally delivered on. Quite nice they've actually given people an option for fielding them after the Forge World's Renegades and Heretics went away. At the very least, some basic Chaos Guardsmen should be fieldable, and I do wonder whether or not they might do something interesting with the Imperial Guard Codex once it's out. It's certainly not 100% impossible that they could give you an option for fielding it in a Chaos figuration. I think that could be a massive win with the fans. In any case, let me know what you think, and feel free to subscribe to Auspex Tactics if you'd like to see more like this. I will be keeping up with Games Workshop's news and releases, and I might try and get a new video out on the Phobos upgrades if I do get a chance later today. Finally, if you have been enjoying all the videos on the channel, I would just like to mention that Auspex Tactics has a Patreon page, and you can find that down in the video description. Channel patrons do get a fair few advantages, seeing certain videos early, regular votes to see what sort of things come next on the channel, and automatic entry into the regular prize giveaways with the chance to win some really big model kits each month. If any of that sounds good to you or you'd just like to help support, the link is down in the video description. In any case, a massive thank you for listening, and I'll hope to see you guys next time.